Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with reference recordings. One of the fun things about doing this series is that when you tell me what you want to do, and then you tell me what the reference recording is supposed to be. And when enough of you tell me what the reference recording is supposed to be, and you all agree on what the reference recording is supposed to be, then I know I'm right in telling you what the reference recording is. This is one of those cases. It really is, because there seemed to be quite a consensus emerging, even in the comments about totally unasked for comments. And it was for Brahms' German Requiem. And the reference recording is, of course, Klemperer's German Requiem. Naturally. Now, whenever I do one of these talks, all of you chime in with, well, this is the one I like. This is my reference. Let's not forget, nobody cares what your reference is. Nobody cares what my personal reference is. What we care about is what the reference is, the consensus choice of generations of music listeners and music critics and the music press and the performances that were discussed and marketed so that they had the opportunity to penetrate the consciousness of the listening public and be discussed. This is not about which ones you like. We've done chats about the German Requiem. Couple, actually. We've done videos where you've had the opportunity to chime in and say, well, this is my favorite, that's my favorite. This is not one of those opportunities. This is the opportunity for me to tell you what the reference recording is. So, Klemperer. Now, I do have to say, though, as an aside, very few reference recordings are ones that I first heard or ones that I imprinted on or ones that are my favorites, as I've said many times, but occasionally it happens. I did not like the German Requiem for many, 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 many years. I have to confess, I found it to be a soggy, sentimental, boring, kind of annoying piece of music, actually. I mean, I'm not into listening to music, generally speaking, about sorrow and misery anyway. But this one sold me on the German Requiem. And I'm so happy that it turned out that it was the reference recording. I'm not saying this because I like it. It's because it's the piece that got me into the German Requiem. It's because it's the performance, the recording that everybody said was the best one that I hadn't listened to because I didn't like the work. So I put it off. I put it off, and finally I got my hands on it and I listened to it. And I went, whoa, yeah. And what are the qualities of this performance that are so marvelous? Well, first of all, it's not soggy and sentimental. Not at all. Not a bit. Klemperer was a lot of things, but sentimental he was not. And actually, that wasn't Brahms' intention anyway. I mean, yes, he wanted sentiment, but he wanted sentiment without sentimentality. And then there was my good friend, the Brahms scholar, Styra Avens, who is brilliant in most things Brahms and a lot of other things besides. And she said to me, it's not about death. It's about consolation. It's about comforting those who are feeling grief. And that's very true. And you don't need sentimentality to do that. You need sentiment. And that's what Klemperer has in abundance. I was particularly impressed by this performance because Klemperer is known for having like forward woodwind balances and things like that. He has a superb chorus. He really does. The Philharmonia chorus. They sing beautifully. He has wonderful soloists who are the Elizabeth Schwarzkopf and Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau, I guess they are. But beyond that, what he pays attention to are the accompaniments. And they're really important in the Brahms Requiem. Everybody thinks of it as a choral piece. And when you go to see it, live, as I have many times, and I've actually sung it, believe it or not, and hated every minute of it. But I especially hated the fugues because, you're going along beautifully and it's all sudden, you're going, death, where is thy sting? And then all of a sudden the tempo changes and they do a fugue. And it's like, why? It was sounding so great before that stupid fugue popped up. Well, now I've sort of gotten used to that as well. But in any case, the accompaniments really matter. They're beautifully judged. And there are wonderful details in the orchestration that you almost never hear in most performances of the Brahms Requiem. You don't hear the harps, you don't hear the timpani, the way they really pound in the second movement. Denn alles Fleisch, es ist wie Gras. They're like, jump, 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 jump. You know, it's really got a sound. And the horn parts, den pwam pwam, the horns are going up. It's, there is so much more detail audible in this performance, exchanges between the orchestra and the chorus. And so it gives the work more color, more texture, I think more expressive immediacy. When you hear it played as you normally do by your average choral society, which hires a pickup orchestra to conduct it, and it's a choral work, especially when it's conducted by a choral conductor, who thinks the orchestra is sort of like, well, a necessary evil, and he's shaping the words and getting the vowels and the consonants and the phrasing and getting them to chop off all their S's and T's, and it's like you want to just scream, because this whole orchestra is there, and they might as well be a piano, because it's just this congealed and uninteresting sonority. But what Klemperer did for me, and what he does generally, and I think what led to this being regarded as the reference recording, is he unpacked the sonority of the piece. He played it without dawdling, without meandering, without, it's strange. It has solidity without heaviness, intensity without bogging down, and like I said, sentiment without sentimentality. And that, my friends, is what makes a reference recording of the Brahms German Requiem. I really believe that. And I think that this is going to be the reference recording for the rest of time, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've heard many other excellent ones. I actually believe there is a new reference, and that's Herbert Blomstedt's with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, because you have an equally fabulous chorus, a wonderful orchestra, a conductor who also conducts the work, notably without sentimentality, but with that simple directness of expression that I think Brahms really intended. And it's in more modern digital sound. So there's a performance that could be, for example, your modern reference, if we had modern references, if that kind of consensus were still possible. And I know some of you want to have more recent recordings. So if you want a more recent one, get the Blomstedt. You'll be very happy. But in the meantime, Klemperer remains the version de référence for sure in the German Requiem. And frankly, there are other fine performances of it, but this is a really tough one to beat. It's also, just to conclude, not often that the reference recording is my however choice or the best recording of the work in question. It only has to be a solid recording that got a lot of attention. But this really is, it's a very strong claim to being, the best in the business. Which is really kind of a good thing for those of you who collect reference recordings for that reason as well. I don't, but I know a lot of other people do. And they want to know that when they get it, they're getting the best. Well, you're not going to improve on this very readily. You just aren't. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.